Greetings, it's Iain from R.T.O here. Firstly, happy 4th of July to all my American viewers and subscribers. And as this is also the first live, well not live, but first show of the week, because obviously yesterday I was previously engaged, we're going to start off with the final part of the David Crosby story. And it's just looking at David Crosby's solo albums. Now, in between making albums with all those people, he managed to make 8 solo albums. Most of them are pretty good. There's some I prefer to others, but on the whole they're decent albums. So let's start. So coming in at number 8 we have the 6th solo album. It was released in 2017 and it's called Sky Trails. Lots of musicians on here, but the 3 main ones are James Raymond, his son, and Jeff P. Barr, both from CPR, and they joined him on this solo effort. So the first track on this one is called She's Got to Be Somewhere. A really good track, got a really catchy tune to this one, and I like the saxophone on this. It really does add to the track. Then we get the title track called Sky Trails. Nice song, and now this has got a singer called Becca Stevens on it. Now he would make an album with her and 2 other people, which we'll talk about later. Really nice duo, solid song. Sell Me a Diamond comes next. Now this is a really good track, co-wrote by him and his son. He sings on it, doing the harmonies. It's a good track. Before Tomorrow Falls on Love. Now this is another duo, but this time it's with Michael McDonald, who's worked with the Doobie Brothers. It's a really good song. David and Michael sing well together, and I like that track. Okay, next up is Here It's Almost Sunset. Okay, this song's okay. It sort of meanders a little bit. It's not too bad, but I wouldn't say it's one of my favourites. Then we get a track called Capital. It's quite a long track, and for the style of this music, I think you need short, sharp, punchy tracks. 7 minutes like this, it really just sort of meander in the middle there, but it just sort of brings itself back. Then we get my favourite track on here, and it's actually a Joni Mitchell song. Now David has covered many Joni Mitchell songs, and this is Amelia, a favourite song of mine, and he does a good version of it. Somebody Home is next. It's okay, it's nothing special. It's a nice song. Curved Air is next. Again, it's a very, very pleasant song, but it just sounds too much like the previous song. Then we get Home Free. It's rather long. It needs to be cut by about 2.5 minutes. It sort of loses its way after 2 or 3 minutes. I find this album a little bit flat and repetitive in places, although the first 3 or 4 songs are really strong. So I'm going to give this one an R.T.O ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we have the 5th album, released in 2016, and it's called Lighthouse. Now, apart from loads of people, these do feature 3 singers: Michael League, who also plays acoustic guitar and 12-string guitar, Becca Stevens, who sang with him before, and Michelle Willis. So the first track on this one is called Things We Do for Love. Nothing to do with 10cc. It's a really nice song though. He sings this with Michael League. It's a really nice combo again. David's got this knack of teaming up with anyone and make a really nice record. Then we get the Us Below. David Crosby and Michael League sing on this. It's a nice little song, but he does struggle with some of the notes sometimes. Drive Out to the Desert comes next. Now this is a very gentle track. It's quite nice, I like that one. Look Into Their Eyes, solid track, some nice guitar work on this, some lovely singing on it, backing harmonies are good, just solid. Somebody Than You, my favourite track on this one. It's a gentle track and then it bursts into life. It's a really good song. The City, not too bad. It's just a little long, even though it's only 4.5 minutes. It's about a minute too long. Paint Your Picture comes next. It's a little bit ordinary and a bit flat. It needed something, it lacked something, that track did. What makes it so? Nice singing again. But this one's a little bit different. It's got a little bit of organ on in the background, which gives it a little more depth. By the Light of the Common of the Day, 3 minutes too long. If you got these nice gentle songs, you don't want 6 or 7 minute versions. You just need short, sharp tracks. Another album that most of the songs sound similar. There's not much variation again. They're all nice songs, but they need a little bit more variation. So I'm going to give this one an R.T.O ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming at number 6. This is from 2018. It's called Here If You Listen. Now this is an album that he did with Michael Lee, Becca Stevens and Michelle Willis. They performed together on tour and they were part of the Lighthouse band of that era. So they're on here, and the first track on this one is called Glory. My favourite track on this album. It just sounds like anything that he's done with previous people. Lovely harmonies. You've got the two girls and the two chaps. Really works well. David's voice is really strong on this one. Vagrants of Venice comes next. Lovely harmonies again. It's a really strong song, full of atmosphere and depth. Then we get a track called 1974. Bit choral in here, some harmonies, yeah, solid track. Your Own Ride. It's a piano piece with, but it was them harmonies that just lifted it to a little different level. Buddha on the Hill, some nice guitar in this one again. It's very pleasant, not top drawer but pleasant. I Am No Artist isn't too bad. It's just a little bit flat in places. It needs a little bit more depth. 1967. It's not very memorable, unfortunately. Seems like they've gone. There was a lack of idea. Balanced on a Pin. Good song. Again, Other Half Rule. Again, they all sounding the same on this album in parts. But with this has got a little bit of guitar and piano, which is okay. Janet, this is quite funky. I like this. It's an electric piano, solid track. Woodstock, famous, made by Matthew Seven Comfort, of course, and it's written by Joni Mitchell. But this is not a very good version of it, I'm afraid. Yeah, definitely a mixed bag here. It starts really strong, but the latter tracks get a little bit the same. Janet's sort of broke it up a bit. So I'm going to give this one an R.T.O ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming at number 5. This is the final album, released in 2021, just before his death, and it's called For Free. On here we got James Raymond, his son, does a lot of the work, and we've got people come in and do guests. So the first track is Michael McDonald from the Doobie Brothers. Great duo again with Michael. I love it when they sing together. It's an excellent track. I think it's an okay song, but David's health was really poor at the time. So his voice is a little bit croaky, but he still sings reasonably well. You know, you got to give him the thing that he's not very well. The Other Side of Midnight sounds okay. Some lovely harmonies on this. I think that's his son doing the harmonies. Then we get Rodrigo's For a Night. I'm not keen on this one. It just something different, but it just doesn't work. Secret Dancer is next. Now this is my favourite track on the album. It's one of my favourite tracks that David Crosby ever did. It's his best vocal on the album. I love the bass line, really good. Ships in the Night is another good track. His voice sounds a little bit different here. It's a little bit more gravelly in places, but it works. Then we get for free. Now this features a young lady called Sarah Jose. This is John, and it's the Joni Mitchell song, and it's again a great cover of one of her songs. And Sarah does a great vocal with David on that one. But then we get Boxes. Solid track, a really nice vocal from David. Shot at Me. Love the guitars on this. It's a solid track from David. I Won't Stay for Long. Good song. As again, David's vocals are a little bit suffering on this one, but I allow for that. You know, it's a great song. I think this was a really good album for him to sign off on, actually. His voice was struggling in places, but he still managed to put a fine performance in. So I'm going to give this an R.T.O ranking of 7.2. Okay, coming in at number 4, we have the fourth album, released in 2014, and it is just called Croz, and it's his first album in over 20 years. So players on here, David Crosby and James Raymond. Guests Mark Knopfler on the first track. Kevin McCormick on bass. Leland Sokar on bass, the legendary bass player. So the first track is called What's Broken. It's a really good track. This one features Mark Knopfler, and boy can you tell, you know him straight away. It's a great track. I love that track. Time I Have, really good. The guitar work on this is super. It's quite a rocker country track. Vocals and harmonies are solid as ever. Holding On to Nothing comes next. Nice vocal, but it's one of them tracks that meanders. The Clearing, some nice guitars on here, and the vocal from David is pretty good. I like that one. Radio, another solid song, nothing wrong with this one. Really good to listen to. Slice of Time. His voice was a little bit groggy on this one for some reason. It's okay. Then we get Set That Baggage Down. Now this reminds me of some of the stuff he did with the rest of the guys back in the day. Some great guitar work. My favourite track on this album. Really good track. If She Called, nice song, nice arrangement. Solid, very good track. Dangerous Night, some really nice harmonies on here. Father and Son wrote this as well, and it is a pretty strong song. But a little criticism, it does go on about a minute too much. Morning Falling, the highlight of this is the guitar. It's very ambient as well. Find a Heart, don't mind this one, just a really nice track. This is a pretty solid album from David as ever. So I'm going to give this one an R.T.O ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 3. This is his debut solo album that he released in 1971, called If Only I Could Remember My Name. Features Graham Nash, Jerry Garcia, Neil Young, and Joni Mitchell. Plus lots of other people. So the first track is Music Is Love, and this is a Nash Young Crosby track. Really good track. it's basically what they were good doing at the time, and I think it's a brilliant track, absolutely stunning track. Then we get my favourite track on here, again one of my favourite tracks by David Crosby, and it's Cowboy Movie. It's a long track, but it's got so much depth, and the guitar's good, and the drums sound good, and David sounds good. I really like that track. Then we get Templars High at about 3. Good track again, bluesy sort of country rock song. Nice guitar work on that one. Then we get Laughing. Love this track, a great vocal from David again, and it's got some lovely harmonies. More than likely it's going to be Nash Young. Really good stuff. Then we get What Are Their Names. It's got Jerry Garcia on this and Neil Young. Michael Shreve's on this as well. It's a good track, some nice guitar work from Jerry Garcia, which adds to the track. Traction in the Rain, another great track. This is at the height of his, when he was really singing well. Lots of going on in here. There's even a little bit of zither in this. Then we get Song with No Words, Tree with No Leaves. A nice song again. A little bit too long, but very good. Then we get this traditional piece of music called Orleans. Very short but really nice. Then we've got I'd Swear There Was Somebody Here. Just more harmonies and vocals. A really good album from top to bottom. Not really a bad track on here. One is a bit too long, but it doesn't spoil it. I don't know where we found the time to do solo albums and all the other stuff. So I'm going to give this one an R.T.O ranking of 7.6. Okay then, coming in at number 2 we have the third album, and it came out in 1993, and he didn't release anything else for 21 years. It's called 1,000 Roads. So lots of people on here, but there's some notables on here with David. Phil Collins being one of them, who plays keyboards, drums, percussion and backing vocals. Jeff Pevar from CPR on guitars. Brilliant Pino Palladino on bass, and the brilliant Leland Sakar on bass as well. Throwing Graham Nash on some harmony vocals and harmonica as well. So the first track on here is called Hero. Now this features Phil Collins. Great track. This could have appeared on a Phil Collins solo album, in all honesty. My favourite track on here. It is fantastic. Good stuff. Too Young to Die, great track. Love the vocal on here. That's got a really good guitar solo on it to top it off as well. Absolutely fantastic track. And just happened got a great bass line from Leland Sakar. Old Soldier, very simple put together, but it's emotional. Has got a lot of meaning. It's a really good song. Through Your Hands, solid track again. It just sounds really good. Yvette in English, written by Joni Mitchell. Absolutely brilliant track. David sings it well as well. 1,000 Roads. It's got a lovely vocal from David. Bit of a rocker for David. It's one of the heaviest tracks I think he ever did. Columbus. This is a great song. This is a song that I've got by an Irish artist called Mary Black. It's a great song, and David does a great version of it. Helpless Heart. Great vocal from David on this one. Nice arrangement. Catchy track. Natalie. Now this is not a particular favourite of mine. It's pleasant enough, but it doesn't float my boat. Okay then, good album. Good variation of styles. It's got some nice ballads on here, some country rock and pop. It's a good all-round album, so I shall give this one an R.T.O ranking of 7.7. So, my number 1. I just think it's got some great artists on it, and it's a well put together album. And it is for his second solo album that came out in 1989, so it's 18 years on from his previous album, his debut album, and it's called Oh Yes I Can. So notables on here, we have Steve Lukather from Toto, Graham Nash is on here, country singer Bonnie Raitt, and brilliant singer-songwriter James Taylor. Opens up with my favourite track on the album. I've always liked this track. It's called Drive My Car, atmospheric. David's vocal on this is top draw. Then we get Melody. Great sound this is. It's a song of the time, but they've used it to the technology well, and it doesn't make it sound cheesy. It's a really strong track. Then we get Monkey and the Underdog, another good track. I love it. It's got a catchy tune, catchy chorus, great vocal from David. Then we get In the Wild Ruin, very 80s sounding again, but it's got a nice guitar solo on it. It's quite catchy. Again, they've used the production well. Tracks in the Dust. This is one of these little acoustic guitars tracks that David's done. It's one of his best in my opinion. Some of them have been a little bit flat, but this one is really strong. Drop Down Mama, just a good old boogie piano track. This is very good track. Lady of the Harbour, probably the weakest track on the album for me. It's just a little bit ordinary. Distances, this is classic sounding Crosby, wherever he puts his hand to. Great harmonies on a wonderfully gentle song. Flying Mon, one of these that's got a really good guitar solo on that really hooks you in. Again, we got some lovely harmonies. Great song. Oh Yes I Can, I love this song. It's very Elton John, to be quite honest. You can imagine Elton John singing this. It's just really good. Then the last track is America, My Country. It is the traditional song. I've heard lots of versions of this, and this one's okay. This one's my favourite solo album because it's got 3 or 4 of my favourite songs that David done as a solo artist. It's got a nice mixture on here. He does a few more rockers on here, which is good. They're all good tracks. The ballads are good. I tend to play this one the most, so I'm going to give this an R.T.O ranking of 8 out of 10. So there we go, folks. That's David Crosby. So next week we start on a new artist, and we're going to look at metal and rock singer legend Mr. Tony Martin for the next few weeks. Looking forward to that one. But I'll be back later with a very special retro ranking today because it is the 4th of July. I thought I would do my favourite #1 singles that were at #1 on the 4th of July on the in America on the 4th of July. Got tongue tied there, sorry. And also I've got a birthday top 10 with me best mate Lee. So looking forward to that. So bye for now.